This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Yabba dabba dabba doo, it's the Mike Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast for you.
Snap, crackle, pop, and we're off with another madcap, fun-filled Mike DJ Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast.
On this week's podcast.
Coming up on this Are We Being Conned special, my digital friend Joyce, fake showbiz news, recommend a pod, charities, Lindsey Hoyle, Mexican food, cafes, metered water, moles, TV adverts, Teslas, Joe Donor, Bonnie Blue, plus lots of stuff you don't know and a whole lot more.
This is the Shorter Than Short Mike Kelly podcast.
Morning, Joyce. That's an interesting, colourful, breathable, lightweight jacket with lots of pockets that you are wearing, my digital friend.
Yes, it's new for the dog walking.
You don't have a dog.
Well, I do now. I have a xoloid squintly Mexican hairless dog.
Nice. Go on then. What's his or her name? I'm guessing Boris or Rishi.
No, it's Ina Sharples. She's got that sort of look about her.
Joyce tells it as it is.
I'm Mike Kelly with the latest Shorter Than Short news. Our top story: top Trump's card game manufacturer sues American government for devaluing the brand. Village people sue Trump administration, saying he should not use YMCA at promotional events, but something more suitable like Clive Dunn's Grandad should be used. Sir Jim Ratcliffe is closing the Manchester United staff canteen in his latest efforts to make the club a leaner operation. Fruit will be offered instead. In India, a court has ordered a cinema chain to pay compensation to a 30-year-old from Bangalore for having to sit through too many pre-film adverts. Canada is in the news at present for its battles with the US, but no one ever mentions Pornhub's head office is in Canada. ITV to expose the next government scandal with a new TV drama called Physician Associates starring Hattie Jakes and Sid James lookalikes. That's it, you're up to date with all the news that is news this hour. I'm Mike Kelly for STS News.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
You look worried, Joyce. What's up?
I'm concerned about AI and how it's taking over.
Seriously, I wouldn't worry. Try this. Google silly UK offences and see what you get.
Do I see what you mean? Unusual laws. It says shaking rugs in the street is illegal. Handling salmon suspiciously is illegal. Lingering after a funeral is illegal. That makes me feel much better.
Please welcome the star of the show, your host, Mike DJ Kelly.
And what's out on those social media sites? Doggy. The amount of red kites in Leeds is due to the successful reintegration scheme by Harewood House, and that's Harewood, not Harwood. Charlotte Boyer, looking for a fencing club in Leeds. Hello everyone from France. I'm moving to Leeds in a month. Can anyone help? Trevor Rhodes, Ofgem, the so-called regulator, lets consumers down every time. Perhaps it should be renamed Power Company Profit Protector. Richard Bergen, MP. Amazing news. French MPs this week voted for a wealth tax on the ultra-rich. It would introduce a 2% tax on any wealth over 100 million euros. A wealth tax on the super-rich is exactly what we need here, and it's what I'm campaigning for. Massimo. A Chinese man has come up with the most ingenious anti-mosquito device. He's put a net on a fan and attached a UV light to the back. All mosquitoes fly towards the light, after which they are sucked into the bag.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
It's not my fault you've ended up listening to this. Blame the algorithm. But while you're here, why not tell a friend or two about the Mike DJ Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast show? And show them where they can access it so we can get them listening. If you want to get in touch about anything to do with the Shorter Than Short, please connect and follow. We're on most social media sites, but the main one is Mike DJ Kelly on Blue Sky Social.
This is the Shorter Than Short Mike Kelly podcast.
I don't have a metered Yorkshire Water account where you pay for every drop of water that you use, but someone in my family does, and has been telling me how if she doesn't go swimming, she'll have one bath a week, She then uses the leftover water to wash her clothes and to flush the toilet, and any leftover after that is used in the garden or on the car. And you thought they had it tough in the old Hovis advert. Incidentally, in Ireland, water bills are charged only after a household has used a free allowance of 30,000 litres of water per year. In Yorkshire Water, prices are up 30% this year. Saw the headline, Weak Consumer Spending, Denting Business Mood, says CBI. Would have thought it was more to do with nobody having any money after paying their energy, water and council tax bills.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Nice to see all the daffodils, but why so many molehills amongst them? Is the mole population expanding? According to Captain AI, the UK mole population is considered to be on the rise, with estimates suggesting a significant rise in recent years, reaching around 35 to 40 million moles across the country. However, due to their underground lifestyle, exact population figures are difficult to conform. Moles are small subterranean mammals. They have cylindrical bodies, velvety fur, very small inconspicuous eyes and ears, reduced hind limbs and short powerful forelimbs with large paws adapted for digging. Moles may be viewed as pests to gardeners, but they provide positive contributions to soil, gardens and ecosystems, including soil aeration, feeding on slug and small creatures that eat plant roots, and providing prey for other wildlife. They eat earthworms and other small invertebrates in the soil. So there's all these moles underground. Who else is down there? Badgers, rabbits and voles, all digging tunnels. It sounds more complicated than the London Underground. I imagine the moles and voles can use anybody's tunnels, but the rabbits and badgers can only use the bigger routes. With all the underground work, I'm surprised we don't have more sinkhole issues.
This is the Shorter Than Short Mike Kelly podcast.
Attention, important announcement. Did I tell you I'm going to be the Cleckheaton Maypole Queen and I'd like you to be my crown bearer?
What does it involve? You know I don't like public-facing events. Will you be doing the traditional thing and wearing a white dress to symbolise purity?
No, I will not. You just have to say a few nice words about me and how adorable I look, and then you have to climb to the top of the maypole and that's it.
Yabba dabba dabba doo, it's the Mike Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast for you.
On the telly, one day I was wondering, is TV being ruined by how many adverts are being shown? So I did some counting between 6:30 and 7:30 p.m. on ITV, Channel 4, Channel 5 and Channel 10. ITV had 19 adverts, Channel 4 16, Channel 10 22 and Channel 5 25, but out of the 25 on Channel 5, 12 were ads, trailers for programmes coming up later in the week. That's a mind-blowing, programme-disrupting, viewer-losing average of 20 adverts an hour. Ofcom regulates the amount and distribution of advertising on TV. For example, advertisements on channels 3 to 5 cannot exceed 7 minutes without Ofcom's prior approval, although 8 minutes are allowed between 6 and 11 p.m. and 7 and 9 a.m. Dave Gorman is back on TV with Modern Life is Goodish, but the episode about MasterChef host Greg Wallace has had to be binned. Spotify's Discovery Mode is in the news, the service that gets artists noticed in exchange for a 30% royalty reduction. Some say it's squeezing musicians and misleading listeners. I think Spotify is great, but I think it's probably reached its Oppenheimer moment. Don't forget, my pod-picking friends, if you want to get in touch about anything to do with the Shorter Than Short podcast show, please use the following to contact us, and if you have any stories, gossip, jokes, or anything for the next episode, please do connect and follow at MIKEDJKELLY on Blue Sky Social, and if you have time, it would be appreciated if you give us a review on any of the usual feedback sites.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Haven't heard OMD, Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark, Tesla Girls on the radio for a while? Do you think radio stations are banned from playing it because it would be promoting the Muskmobile? Anyway, why is it called Tesla and not a Muskmobile?
Nikola Tesla, born the 10th of July 1856, was a Serbian-American engineer, futurist, and inventor. He is known for his contributions to the design of the modern alternating current, AC, electricity supply system.
What about the Tesla Girls? Who are they?
The song's lyrics therefore deal with the subject of young modern women who use everyday electrical goods thanks to Tesla.
When did the first Tesla car come out?
In 2008, Tesla Motors released its first car, the completely electric Roadster. In company tests, it achieved 245 miles on a single charge, a range unprecedented for a production electric car.
OMD, Orchestral Manoeuvres in the Dark, had a hit with the song Tesla Girls in 1984, 24 years before the Tesla car, but had the foresight to call the album that the track came from Junk Culture.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
And in our Why Aren't They on the Telly spot, today it's Sir Henry Michael Fenton Stevens, the British consul in the TV show Benidorm. Michael Fenton Stevens is an English actor and comedian. He was a founder member of the Heebie-Jeebies and sang the lead on the Spitting Image 1986 #1 hit, The Chicken Song. He also starred in KYTV, its Radio 4 predecessor, Radioactive, Benidorm, and was an anchor on The Third and Bird on CBeebies. Stevens also appeared as a diner in an episode of the original series of Mr. Bean entitled Room 426. He also has an excellent podcast called My Time Capsule, but we want him back on the telly.
Yabba dabba dabba doo, it's the Mike Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast for you.
Today's do-gooders are trussell.org.uk. What we do, ending hunger together. We exist so everyone can be free from hunger. We are an anti-poverty charity and community of food banks. We work together to ensure no one in the UK needs a food bank to survive, while providing food and practical support to people left without enough money to live on. Last year, our community of food banks distributed 3.1 million emergency food parcels, the most ever in a single year. We need urgent action on hunger in the UK. People are being pushed to the brink because they don't have enough money to live on. This can't go on. Not so long ago, food banks were not needed to the extent they are today. Our social security system was created 80 years ago to protect people from hunger and hardship, and for decades after, people were a lot less likely to need a charity's help for the essentials. So we know things can get better. Find out more. Today's do-gooders are trussell.org.uk.
Live across the universe, it's the Mike DJ Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast.
Look at the time. It's time for today's music quiz featuring a big hit from 1972. Who's singing and what's the song called? In a giant lemon tree, alone, my friend and me. We both climbed down and crossed the sand until we reach the sea, and the waves come higher, higher, as we sway and dance, and the way I feel makes me want to take a chance. Name the song or the artiste.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
If you're new to the Mike DJ Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast show, you can still hear all previous episodes just by searching or shouting the Mike DJ Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast. And in our rather famous Here's Something You Don't Know spot, people keep referring to the Oppenheimer moment. What are they talking about? An Oppenheimer moment refers to a pivotal point in the development of a powerful new technology where the creators realize the potentially devastating consequences of their creation. Similar to how J. Robert Oppenheimer, the scientist who led the Manhattan Project to develop the atomic bomb during the Second World War, later felt deep regret about his role in creating such a destructive weapon. Essentially, it's a moment of ethical reckoning when the full implications of a scientific breakthrough become clear and raise concerns about its potential misuse.
I have one. Is it right that there is a two-tier HMRC tax phone system for dealing with tax enquiries? The royal family and senior civil servants and ministers are dealt with 8 times faster on the HMRC helpline than us common folk.
This is the Shorter Than Short Mike Kelly podcast.
More from the social media sites. John McDonnell, 20 minutes into this programme, I'm urging Labour Cabinet members to stand up to the Treasury to prevent it from forcing through cuts in benefit payments to disabled people. I'm desperately worried about the harm and suffering to be inflicted on the poorest. Blade of the Sun. ADHD treatment in the UK is a con to fleece you for thousands of pounds a year. First, they charge you £500 for a 2-hour assessment, which will say you have ADHD, but no one else will recognise it. Then they have you locked into treatment with them for £150 to £200 a month. Laura Elliott. If UK Labour want to save money on disability benefits, they could stop the DWP on reassessing people with lifelong genetic degenerative conditions every 3 to 5 years and reinstate the Lifetime Award instead of wasting money, bureaucracy on hounding disabled people for a pittance. Sam the Long Covid Unicorn. Don't you think Labour MPs should give up their free parking, free heating, subsidised food, drink, free clothes and Taylor Swift tickets before they make disability benefit cuts? Carol Vorderman, Physician Associates, not safe to work in NHS, says Oxford Uni study. Callum Webster, study shows that people who don't qualify as doctors or as anaesthetists with no relevant degree and do a course that no one fails are not suitable to fill the role of doctors or anaesthetists. Anaesthetists United, you don't fly a plane undergoing a safety review, you ground it. Dr. J. Watts, Labour are sending out an unequivocal message: you matter if you work, you don't otherwise. This is morally wrong, as argued by every major philosopher, every spiritual tradition or religion, every admired society, current or past. We all matter, we all contribute.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Last time we mentioned about banks closing branches because people don't use them. Just wondered why there are so many churches these days, as very few people use them. Quite often it's shared circuit vicars due to such low attendance. Maybe they could be adapted into something useful, like hostels for the homeless. That would be a big tick in the box for Prince William and his 5-year project that aims to end homelessness in the UK.
Yabba dabba dabba doo, it's the Mike Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast for you.
According to recent research, the average erect penis length has significantly increased over the past few decades, with studies showing a 24% increase in length over 29 years, with studies showing it going from an average of 4.8 inches to 6 inches. Researchers consider this trend concerning and are investigating potential causes like environmental factors and chemical exposure. So who is Bonnie Blue? Ty Emma Billinger, born May 1999, known professionally as Bonnie Blue, is an English pornographic actress and OnlyFans creator. In January 2025, Blue claimed to have had sex with 1,057 men in one day. Pass the calculator, that's 44.5 an hour over 24 hours, without any tea or lunch breaks. Sperm donor Robert Charles Alban, who has fathered more than 180 children, has subjected the mothers to a nightmare of controlling behaviour. Trading under the name Joe Donor, Deputy High Court Judge Jonathan Thurness, KC, took the rare step of naming him as a parent in the family court as a warning to other women considering buying sperm from him.
I don't think I would like to meet Joe Donor. I certainly will not be wanting any donations. Sorry about that, it's my ankle tab. I think I have been out of my house for more than the 2 hours of freedom I'm allowed each day.
Didn't know you had a tab. What's it for?
For drinking a can of Foster's in the local library.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Fake Showbiz News at Fake Showbiz News. Emma Bunton reveals a crisp packet from 2024 blew into her garden during a windy day last week. It had Euro 2024 promotions on it. She giggled. Paddy McGuinness to replace Richard Burton as voice of the narrator for the new War of the Worlds live tour. Sir Paul McCartney admits he loves it when he's prescribed pills that can't be taken on an empty stomach. Great excuse for an extra snack, he giggled. Sir Keir Starmer confirms Catholic people will be allowed the day off work if the Pope dies, but only if they've been to church in the past year. Stacey's Mom by Fountains of Wayne overtakes Angels by Robbie Williams to become UK's most popular funeral song.
This is the Shorter Than Short Mike Kelly podcast.
Guess the celebrity, born the 25th of March 1947 in Pinner. That's probably enough. But if you need more, here is some. He has the middle name Hercules. He once owned Watford Football Club and was once married to Renate Bluell. Who is he? Recommend a pod. This time it's Songs in the Key of Laugh. Songs in the Key of Laugh is a light-hearted, action-packed podcast hosted by ex-Corky and the Juice Picks founder Phil Nichol and musical maestro David Timms. There's laughs, gaffs, parody games and heaps of fun alongside in-depth interviews with some of the world's finest purveyors of comedy songs and musical comedy. Search for the Songs in the Key of Laugh podcast and enjoy the fun.
The Mike DJ Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast.
And on food, Domino's cookies are already a firm favourite for takeaway lovers. They're a decadent combo of chocolate chips, vanilla and creamy cookie dough, and in preparation for Easter, they have taken the above and made them even better. A whole Cadbury cream egg is packed into the cookie dough before baking. Why is it every time I go to a Mexican restaurant, they never do chili? They do lots of nice fancy food, but not chili. And when did breakfast become a full-on dining experience? You used to go to a cafe and pay £5 to £6 a head for the full Monty, with tea, fried bread and black pudding and spam. But when did every pub and bistro start offering a fine dining experience at £15 a head? It's not needed. I'm going back to basics. Transport cafes and real-world cafes are for me. And just one other point on food, you know when you're watching cookery programs and online recipes and it says cooking time 1 hour, should you not include clearing up time? When my wife does Sunday roast, that's an hour of my time cleaning up.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
If you want to get in touch with this top-rated and sometimes much-listened-to podcast, please connect and get in touch about anything to do with the Shorter Than Short podcast show. We're on social media. The main one is Mike DJ Kelly on Blue Sky Social. Indeed, if you want a podcast making for your business or you need any help with radio producer or presentation work, travel news, voiceover work, please do get in touch. Do tell your friends about the podcast. All they need to do to find it is search on Google for the Mike DJ Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast.
Yabba dabba dabba doo, it's the Mike Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast for you.
Final burst from the social media sites. A non-open. Every golf course should be made to face the coin toss of destiny. Heads, it stays open. Tails, it becomes an adventure play area for children. Golf courses take up far too much space. Science girl, approximately €3,000 in loose change is thrown into the Trevi fountain in Italy every day, totalling up to €1.5 million annually, which is then used to aid the needy. David Osland, if Labour really wants to crack down on scroungers living off state handouts, why haven't they returned energy, rail and water companies to social ownership yet? Carol Drinkwater, am I the only one who finds the Gene Hackman story rather distressing? How wife was dead for a week ahead of him. He was 95 with Alzheimer's. Was there no one going in to make daily checks on this couple? Family, kids, cleaner, housekeeper? How can this have happened? James Melville, China emits more CO2 than the rest of the developed world combined. But let's blame it on the cows. Bernie, Parliament. The Speaker of the House, Lindsey Hoyle, has blown £250,000 of taxpayers' money on luxury travel, the finest hotels, chauffeur-driven cars and business first-class flights. Joe Mangum, terribly convenient, isn't it, for a generation in power which has ruthlessly screwed young people. House prices, tuition fees and grants, environmental breakdown, hostility to their speech and identity, to blame smartphones for their poor mental health.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
And in the late news, Boris Johnson fans offered a £121 handshake and photo opportunity. UK use of predictive policing is racist and should be banned, says Amnesty International. Rona is a horse from County Down, Northern Ireland, who is believed to be the oldest horse in the UK. In February 2025, she celebrated her 46th birthday. BP to raise oil and gas spending to $10 billion a year in a pivot away from green goals, but is continuing to use its bright green logo. A new study finds 250,000 students are problem gamblers, 1 in 5 students with a gambling problem. Scientists say consumption of tea may have health benefits by reducing the intake of metals such as lead. Yes, brewing tea removes metals from water. According to money expert Paul Lewis, modern high-tech hearing aids can cost £4,000 to £5,000. But Apple's latest iPhone software and AirBuds Pro will do the same job for a fraction of the price. We say the NHS will provide pretty smart hearing aids for free if you need them.
This is the Shorter Than Short Mike Kelly podcast.
I'm sorry, Mr. Kelly. You are out of time. You must stop now.
OK, it's time to go. Guess the name of the song or the artiste who had a hit with the song these lines came from. In a giant lemon tree, alone my friend and me, we both climbed down and crossed the sand until we reached the sea. And the waves come higher, higher, as we sway and dance. And the way I feel makes me want to take a chance. Name the song or the artiste. It was Mary Hopkin and Tema Harbour. Guess the celebrity. Born on the 25th of March 1947 in Pinner, he has the middle name Hercules and once owned Watford Football Club and was once married to Renate Blowell. Who is he? Sir Elton Hercules John, born Reginald Kenneth Dwight. And just before we go, a couple of final thoughts. Whatever happened to the $1 million solid gold toilet stolen from Blenheim Palace in 2019? Are too many people wearing high-vis jackets, making it hard to spot the person in charge when they are needed? This was a party political broadcast for the Mike DJ Kelly podcast. And guess what? It's been a blast, but that's enough for this Are We Being Conned edition of the crazy Shorter Than Short podcast. From me, Mike Kelly.
And me, Joyce Abigail Phyllis Temple Savage.
Thank you for listening. Please take care out there, and remember you can always find the podcast by searching or shouting the Mike DJ Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
This is the Shorter Than Short podcast with Mike Kelly.
Yabba dabba dabba doo, it's the Mike Kelly Shorter Than Short podcast for you.